What if the difference between her and you was never about talent, looks, or luck? What if the only thing she had was certainty? Not better grades, not better connections, just an unshakable belief that she belonged. What would your life look like if you believed that too? I spent years thinking I wasn't ready. Not good enough, not quite there yet. But she didn't wait. She walked in like she was allowed to. And one day I realized no one's coming to hand me permission. So I stopped waiting, and everything changed. Want to know how? If this hits home already, like and subscribe. Let's explore what confidence really looks like. I used to believe confidence was something loud, a raised hand in a crowded room, a bright red lip that said, "Look at me," a steady voice, never trembling, never unsure. That's what I thought confidence looked like. And because I wasn't loud, because I hesitated, because I second-guessed every move, I believed I wasn't confident. Worse, I believed I wasn't enough. But here's what no one tells you. Confidence doesn't have to make noise to be real. It doesn't need applause, validation, or a spotlight. Sometimes confidence is the quietest person in the room, the one who knows who she is even when no one is looking. We grow up thinking there's a hierarchy. The girls who shine, the ones who take the stage, the ones who speak up without fear, they must be the confident ones. And maybe they are. But we mistake performance for presence. We confuse being visible with being secure. And somewhere along the way, we start believing that if we're not out there, loud, bold, constantly proving, we must be behind, invisible, less than. But what if that's not true? What if confidence isn't volume? What if it's steadiness? What if it's not about how many people notice you, but how well you notice yourself? The first time I saw her, it felt like she had something I didn't. It wasn't her clothes, her smile, her posture. It was something underneath all that. She moved through the world like she wasn't asking for permission, like she didn't need anyone's approval to exist fully in her own skin. And it struck me, not because she was better than me, but because she wasn't seeking what I was constantly chasing. She didn't need a mirror to tell her she was enough. She already knew. That was the difference. Confidence isn't being better. It's believing you don't have to be. And that single shift changes everything. Because once you stop performing and start trusting, your whole world realigns. You stop asking, "Am I allowed?" And you start answering, "I already am." That's when you take up space. That's when you begin. And that's what this is about. We are living in a world that measures confidence by metrics: follower counts, flawless presentations, the ability to sell yourself in under 30 seconds. Somewhere between college applications and corporate job interviews, confidence became a performance. And if you don't fit that mold, if you stumble over your words, if your hands shake, if you need a second to collect your thoughts, you start to wonder if maybe you're just not made for the spotlight, maybe you're just not confident. But that's a lie dressed in modern packaging. Psychologists define confidence not as a personality trait, but as a belief in your ability to handle what comes next. That's it. Confidence doesn't mean you'll succeed. It means you trust yourself enough to try. And that's a radically different lens from what we're taught. The American Psychological Association identifies self-efficacy, our belief in our capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce outcomes, as one of the core predictors of resilience, achievement, and well-being. But that belief doesn't start on stage or in the spotlight. It starts in moments when no one is watching. Still, it's easy to misunderstand. In a study from the University of Melbourne, researchers found that people who displayed confidence, regardless of competence, were more likely to be seen as leaders and to be hired for higher-paying jobs. We've created a society that rewards the appearance of confidence more than the substance of it. So we mimic. We rehearse smiles. We rehearse elevator pitches. We rehearse being likable, impressive, enough. And then we go home and collapse from the effort of keeping the mask in place. Social media hasn't helped. It has created an illusion of certainty. Perfect captions, perfect timing, perfect angles. And when our real lives don't match the filtered confidence we scroll past every day, we shrink, we question, we compare. But confidence is not curated. It's not algorithmic. It's not something you capture in a single frame. The real problem isn't that we lack confidence. It's that we think we're supposed to feel it all the time. But confidence, according to behavioral psychology, isn't a constant emotional state. It's a choice you make in the presence of doubt. That means you can be scared and still act. You can feel small and still show up. You can question yourself and still speak. Confidence doesn't erase insecurity. It walks with it. That's the truth we were never taught. When confidence feels out of reach, most of us try to earn it by becoming someone else. We tweak, we edit. We mold ourselves into a version we think the world will finally applaud. Maybe if we become more attractive, we'll feel more secure. Maybe if we achieve more, we'll stop doubting. Maybe if we're constantly productive, constantly accommodating, constantly perfect, then we'll finally arrive at confidence. But this path is not a ladder, it's a treadmill. What we adopt unknowingly is performance-based self-worth. We believe that confidence must be built from accomplishments, stacked up like blocks of validation. So, we hustle for it. We become addicted to doing more, pleasing more, proving more. And it works, for a while. Every compliment, every like, every nod of approval gives us a temporary high. But it doesn't last, because it's not confidence. It's borrowed certainty, held together by conditions that can fall apart at any moment. And when it does, we blame ourselves. We think, I must not be trying hard enough. So we double down. We buy the planners, we fix our posture. We chase main character energy. Without realizing, the main character in a movie still has a script, a stylist, and perfect lighting. Life isn't a curated narrative. It's a messy, unpredictable, human process. And trying to perfect your way into confidence is like decorating a cracked wall instead of repairing the foundation. Social comparison only feeds this toxic loop. We look sideways more than inward. We think confidence must look like that girl who always speaks with poise, who never seems to sweat, who posts vacation photos without a single insecurity showing. But you don't know her story. You don't know how much of her confidence is practiced, how much is pain in disguise, how much is built on the same shaky ground as yours. One of the most dangerous things we do is mistake visibility for confidence. We think people who are loudest must believe in themselves the most. But some of the loudest voices are the most afraid of silence. Some of the most polished exteriors are hiding the most fragile interiors. Meanwhile, those who feel deeply, who question, who hesitate, they assume they're behind, broken, or inadequate, when in fact, they're just honest. The real trap isn't doubt, it's denial. Denying the doubt, shoving it down, masking it with fake certainty until it explodes into burnout, anxiety, or isolation. That's the cost of the toxic solution. It disconnects you from your real self, and confidence built on disconnection will always collapse under pressure. Here's the truth that changed everything for me. Confidence isn't something you earn, it's something you reclaim. It's not the reward for being flawless. It's the result of being faithful to who you already are. And no one ever told me that. I was too busy trying to be impressive to realize that what I really needed was to be in integrity. Let me introduce you to a concept that flipped my world: self-fidelity. It means loyalty to your truest self. Not the curated self, not the version you post, not the version who says yes when she means no, or who laughs at jokes that make her stomach turn. The truest version, the one who existed before the world told you who to be, the one who still whispers beneath the noise of expectations. Confidence doesn't grow when you silence that voice. It grows when you start listening to it again, when you make tiny, courageous choices that align with what that voice wants, believes, feels. Self-fidelity is the difference between pretending you're confident and actually becoming it, because it asks something radical. Not for you to change, but to come home to yourself. Think about the people you admire, not for their polish, but for their presence. The ones who walk into a room and somehow feel grounded, real, even if they're not loud. That's not accidental. That's self-fidelity. You can feel it. It's in how they speak, how they listen, how they stand. They don't shrink, but they don't need to expand for approval either. They're simply whole. That kind of confidence is quiet. but unshakable. It says, I may not be perfect, but I am mine. And when you start living in alignment with that, the world might not always clap, but you stop needing it to. You stop looking outside for a green light. You give it to yourself. That's where the real shift happens. Not when you finally become good enough by the world's standards, but when you stop outsourcing your enoughness altogether. That's when confidence becomes a birthright, not a prize. And when it's yours, not borrowed, not begged for, not performed, it can't be taken away. You don't build confidence by becoming more like her. You build it by becoming more like you. There's this image we all carry, often without realizing it, the confident woman. She's perfectly styled, composed, articulate. She glides through rooms like she owns them. She doesn't second-guess her words. She doesn't flinch when challenged. Her posture is perfect. Her life, even better. She's the blueprint. At least that's what we've been told. But here's the thing. That's not confidence. That's performance. That's polish. That's years of conditioning wrapped in an Instagram filter. The confident woman we see in media is often scripted, airbrushed, lit from the right angle, carefully edited down to just the highlights. We confuse that image with the real thing, and then we punish ourselves for not living up to a fantasy. Real confidence isn't always pretty. It stumbles, it stammers, it shows up anyway. It has roots in doubt, not in denial. It doesn't erase fear. It walks beside it. Some of the most confident women I know fidget with their sleeves when they talk. They pause to collect their thoughts. They admit when they're nervous. And you know what? That's what makes them magnetic. Not their flawlessness, but their realness. The myth says confidence is loud, that it wears red lipstick and speaks on stages. But I've seen quiet confidence that hums like a steady drumbeat, the kind that doesn't need to be seen to feel solid. The woman who sets boundaries without drama, who chooses rest without guilt, who says, I don't know without shame. That's a confidence we rarely celebrate, because it doesn't always look like what we've been sold. The media tells us to fake it till you make it, but real confidence isn't faked. It's remembered, reclaimed, rerooted in something internal, not external. The reality is, confidence doesn't always come with a spotlight. Sometimes it looks like walking away, like standing still, like saying no. And sometimes confidence is quiet for a reason, because it's not trying to prove itself. It's not a costume you wear. It's a foundation you build, a muscle you grow by doing hard, honest things, by keeping your word to yourself, by showing up on the days you don't feel like enough and still choosing to be visible. So let's retire the stereotype. Let's stop chasing a glossy version of confidence that was never real to begin with. And let's start building something better, something ours. Because when we do, we stop comparing ourselves to a mirage and we start seeing the truth. You don't have to look like her to be confident. You just have to look like you, fully, freely, and without apology. It was junior year at the University of Michigan when I first really saw her. Her name was Claire. She sat 2 rows ahead of me in Psych 230, always early, always put together, always speaking with this calm certainty in class discussions. She didn't raise her hand with hesitation. She raised it like her thoughts belonged in the room. And when she spoke, people listened. Not because she was louder than everyone else, but because she believed in what she was saying. At first, I hated her confidence. Not because she was mean or arrogant. She wasn't. Claire was kind, thoughtful. She smiled at people in the hallway and held the door open without looking for thanks. What made it hard to be around her wasn't anything she did. It was everything she mirrored back at me. Because I wasn't confident. I was competent. Sure, I got good grades. I followed the syllabus. I did everything right. But I walked around campus like I was apologizing for taking up space. I slouched in lecture halls. I avoided eye contact with professors. I wrote papers with strong ideas, but read them back like they weren't worth much. And when I looked at Claire, I didn't just see someone else. I saw who I could be, if I got out of my own way. One afternoon after class, I caught up to her on the diag. I don't know what came over me. I just blurted out, "How are you so confident all the time?" She stopped walking. Her face softened. And then she said, "Oh, I'm I'm just not waiting anymore. That sentence split something open in me. Not waiting for permission, for certainty, for the right moment. That's what I've been doing. Waiting. Waiting for someone to say I was smart enough, ready enough, impressive enough. Waiting for the world to give me a seat when I could have pulled out my own chair the whole time. Claire wasn't better than me. She just wasn't begging to be chosen anymore. She had chosen herself. That moment was small, maybe 3 minutes long, but it echoed for years. It changed how I walked into rooms. Not overnight, but gradually, intentionally. I started speaking up in class. I started dressing like I wanted to be seen, not disappear. I started asking questions even if I didn't know how they'd land. Confidence wasn't this huge transformation. It was a quiet rebellion, a refusal to shrink. And that's the version of the story we don't hear enough. That sometimes becoming confident isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to someone you lost while waiting for approval that was never coming. So, let's talk about what actually changed and how. The core concept I stumbled into that day with Claire was simple, but powerful. Confidence is a practice, not a personality. We tend to think of confidence as something some people are just born with, like dimples or long eyelashes, but it's not. Confidence is behavior, and behavior can be practiced, repeated, refined. It's not magic, it's muscle memory. The version of me that started showing up differently didn't feel different at first. She still got nervous, she still second-guessed herself, but she acted before waiting to feel ready. That's the shift. Confident people aren't fearless. They're just familiar with the feeling of fear and choose to move anyway. And when I started doing that, consistently, even in tiny ways, I began to see a pattern. The more I acted like someone who believed in herself, the more I actually did. The actions taught the emotion, not the other way around. Here's what that looked like in real life. When I felt invisible at work, I started speaking one sentence per meeting. Not a speech, not a show, just one sentence. I told myself, "You're allowed to be in the room, so sound like it." When I felt intimidated by other women online, women whose posts were perfectly curated, whose voices seemed more polished than mine, I didn't unfollow them. I muted the comparison. Yes, but I also created. I posted my thoughts even if they weren't perfect. I started a small newsletter just for my friends. I practiced being visible. When I wanted to back out of social plans because I was afraid I'd be awkward or say something dumb, I reminded myself, confidence isn't being the most charming person in the room. It's being okay with who you are when you walk in. None of those things were flashy. No one clapped. No one called me brave. But I did them anyway. And they added up. That's the part we miss when we imagine confidence. It's not a grand entrance. It's a quiet series of choices. You choose to trust your voice, even if it shakes. You choose to take the photo, even if it's not your best angle. You choose to show up, even when it's tempting to shrink. That's the difference. Not talent, not beauty, not intelligence, just choice. You don't have to wait until you feel 100% confident. You just have to act like someone who's allowed to take up space, and let the confidence follow. If this is resonating with you, I'd love to know. Drop a comment below and tell me what moment hit hardest so far. Let's grow through it together. Now let's talk about the part no one likes to admit, the internal block that keeps us stuck. Even after I started showing up, even after I spoke up more, even after I wore the outfit, applied for the thing, posted the thought, I'd come home and spiral. Confidence in the moment was one thing, but staying confident, that was something else entirely. There's this voice, quiet but cruel, that lives inside so many of us. It sounds like you, but it's not you. It's every rejection you ever absorbed, every comparison you ever made, every rule you learned about how people like you are supposed to behave. It's the inner critic. Mine didn't shout. It whispered, "You're doing too much. They're going to see right through you. You look desperate. You're not as impressive as she is." That voice is why so many of us don't sustain confidence, because we take action and then punish ourselves emotionally afterward. We rehearse the awkward moment, replay the look someone gave us, rewrite the scene 100 times, each version worse than the last. We call it humility. We call it self-awareness. But it's self-sabotage. The truth is, your brain is designed to protect you. It wants you to stay safe, to stay predictable, to avoid embarrassment at all costs. Confidence, by definition, threatens that safety. It says, "I'll risk it. I'll be seen." That's terrifying to a nervous system that's spent years avoiding rejection. So the block isn't a lack of potential. It's a lack of nervous system safety. That's why confidence isn't just about mindset. It's about regulation. It's about learning how to breathe when your chest tightens, how to ground when your thoughts race, how to stay with yourself instead of abandoning her in shame. When I learned that my confidence wasn't weak, it was just constantly being interrupted by fear, I stopped blaming myself. I started comforting myself. I started practicing safety. I told that inner voice, "You don't run the show here anymore." And little by little, the volume went down. Not gone, but quieter. Because that's the thing. Confidence doesn't silence the fear. It just learns to speak louder. Confidence doesn't just shape how we see ourselves. It quietly rewrites every relationship we have. Before I found mine, I became whoever the room needed me to be. I'd laugh a little louder if someone important was talking. I'd stay quiet when something bothered me, afraid I'd ruin the mood. I'd say, "It's fine," when it wasn't. I wasn't lying, I was just afraid that honesty would cost me love. And the truth? Sometimes it did. People liked me more when I was agreeable, but they didn't know me. Not really. When you don't believe your presence has value, you filter yourself out of your own life, you shrink in conversations, you tolerate things you don't agree with, you keep editing yourself down into smaller and smaller versions until all that's left is a highlight reel of who you think they'll accept. But here's the twist. The relationships built on your silence, they don't last. Because one day, your real self will want to speak, and when she does, it shakes everything. I remember the first time I spoke up in a friendship I had for years. I said no to something small, a weekend trip I didn't have the energy for, and the shift was immediate. She pulled away, short texts, cold replies, and I realized our friendship wasn't built on closeness. It was built on compliance. Confidence reveals who's truly with you. Because when you begin to take up space, the people who only like the edited version of you will call it too much. But the ones who love the full version, the real version, will finally be able to find her and stay. Romantic relationships change too. When you're confident, you stop auditioning for affection. You stop twisting yourself to fit. You realize that the right person isn't impressed by your performance. They're drawn to your peace. And in the quiet steadiness of being seen fully and staying anyway, you realize something even more powerful than confidence: connection. But it all starts when you decide you're worth showing up as. Not the safe version, not the agreeable one, the real one. And that's when everything else begins to align. So now that you see it, now that you've felt it, what do you actually do with it? You begin small, quietly, privately. Confidence is not built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows, in the little decisions no one claps for. So don't wait for applause. Start with alignment. Start by telling the truth in places where you used to nod. Speak honestly, not for drama, not to win, just to stop abandoning yourself in conversations. The next time someone asks what you think, say it fully, even if your voice trembles a little. That tremble is strength being born. Next, stop over-explaining. Confidence doesn't justify itself. If you said no, let it stand. If you change your mind, that's enough. You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint presentation on your boundaries. Let them be whole sentences. Let them breathe. Then, practice presence. Confidence lives in the body. So notice when you're curling inward, physically shrinking. Straighten your spine. Look people in the eye. Hold their gaze. Not with arrogance, but with certainty. A quiet certainty that says, "I'm allowed to be here." And when the inner critic shows up, because she will, Don't argue with her. Acknowledge her. Then do it anyway. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding that the fear doesn't get to drive anymore. Keep promises to yourself. Start with the tiniest ones. I'll go for a walk. I'll finish this book. I'll set my alarm and get up. Every kept promise is a message to your nervous system that you're trustworthy, that you have your own back. And if you falter, if you flinch, don't shame yourself. Confidence doesn't grow when you're punished. It grows when you're patient. So give yourself grace and get back up. The loudest people aren't always the most confident. Often, the truly confident ones are the ones who speak the least. But when they do, it's intentional, it's clear, it's them. So be her, quietly, consistently, unshakably. Not because you have something to prove, but because you finally stopped pretending you didn't know who you were. Confidence doesn't just change how you walk into a room. It changes what rooms you walk into. It changes the kind of love you tolerate, the jobs you apply for, the way you look at your reflection in the morning. It shifts your entire center of gravity. And it's not because you became someone new. It's because you stopped apologizing for being who you are. You start attracting friendships that feel lighter, conversations where you're not performing, work that aligns with your values, not just your resume. Even solitude stops feeling empty because you're no longer avoiding yourself. You laugh more, you ask for help, you forgive faster. You stop measuring your worth by who texts back or what title is on your LinkedIn. You begin to feel safe inside your own skin, not because everything is perfect, but because you're done outsourcing your value. And from that place, everything opens. You look back at old versions of yourself, not with shame, but with love. You see how hard she tried, how long she waited, and you thank her because she held the line until you were ready to take the lead. Confidence doesn't just give you a louder voice, it returns your original one. So what if this whole time you were never unworthy, never too late, never behind? What if the real shift isn't becoming someone better, but finally becoming someone whole? If this touched you, like and subscribe. Someone else out there needs to hear this too.